The iPhone 11 Pro Max was released in 2019 as the flagship iPhone of the time, and it brought improvements to the cameras, display, and battery life that still make it a great phone in 2021. Hi, welcome to the TC. My name's David, and today we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 11 Pro Max in 2021, and I'm going to be telling you guys my experiences using the iPhone 11 Pro Max over a long period of time. As per usual, I first want to discuss the design of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. This iPhone shares the overall design mostly with the iPhone XS Max, sporting the same size display and overall look, except the 11 Pro series made the back a matte finish and added a new camera hump to accommodate the new ultra-wide camera. The iPhone 11 Pro Max is around the same size as the XS Max, but is heavier by quite a bit, almost a full ounce. However, I would argue that the thickness and heft of the iPhone 11 Pro Max is worth it since you do get a larger battery and a much better camera system in return. The iPhone 11 Pro series also comes in 4 colors, this being the space gray here, but there's also an exclusive midnight green, a silver, and of course gold. The sides are finished in a polished stainless steel, harkening all the way back to the original iPhone X, and the front holds the 6.5-inch Retina XDR display with the infamous notch up top. The iPhone 11 Pro series introduced the Retina XDR display, which allowed for improvements to brightness and contrast ratios over the XS Max. The iPhone 11 Pro Max can actually reach a sustained 800 nits of peak brightness or 1200 nits when watching HDR content. Being that it is an OLED display, it is nice and it has inky blacks and colors look really great on it. My only gripe would be the notch, but even the iPhone 12 Pro Max has it, so. The iPhone itself is also water and dust resistant, able to withstand water up to 4 meters in depth for 30 minutes, which is about twice as much of the XS Max. Overall, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is still a great design and it's very premium. However, it is a little bit dated considering it has rounded corners, but I would say that this actually makes it easier to hold than the newer iPhone 12 Pro Max, since those are more square. But in the end, it's more of a preferencing anyway. Now let's take a look at the cameras of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Not too far off from the modern flagships we have today, there's a triple camera setup on the back of the iPhone 11 Pro series. We have a wide-angle camera, a 2x telephoto, and a 0.5x ultra-wide camera, allowing for 4x optical range altogether. This allows you to take 3 photos of the same thing, but at completely different perspectives. The wide camera is the best camera of the 3, sporting the widest aperture at f1.8, and it is the only camera of the 3 that supports night mode and deep fusion, new to the iPhone 11 series. Night mode is great for taking photos in low light, and especially if you like to take photos of the night sky. I would love to go out one day and try to get some astrophotography done on this phone, just to see what kind of results I could get. Deep Fusion, on the other hand, was a new feature added later to the iPhone 11 series through a software update, and it essentially took multiple photos at different exposures to create a photo with more detail without turning on night mode. This only comes on when lighting is around medium, so dark but not too dark that you might need night mode. You can tell when it's on when you see this little icon up top. The telephoto camera is also relatively good with an f2.0 aperture, and that allows for about a 50mm equivalent so you can get more zoomed in shots. It really comes in handy for portrait mode, so you can get really nice portraits using that 50mm lens, which is known for its use in portraits. Speaking of portrait mode though, you can use it on the wide-angle camera as well, so you can fit more people into the shot, or if you want a wider perspective of your subject. The ultra-wide camera is incredibly wide, at 120 degrees of view, meaning that if you aren't careful, it's actually really easy to get your finger in the shot. The ultra-wide camera is one of my favorites on this iPhone, as it allows for a really interesting perspective, and was a really great addition to the 11 series. Unfortunately, the ultra-wide is fixed in focus, meaning that the focus on it only has the focus that you can get. You can't refocus for closer subjects, for example. Also, its very small size means that you get a ton of grain in low light, as well as it is generally darker and lacking the same detail that you get with the wide and telephoto lens. However, for something like posting on social media, it's honestly more than good enough, and just give it plenty of light and you're good. In terms of video, every camera is capable of 4K video up to 60 frames per second, but there is options for 24, 25, 30, and 60 frames per second in the settings for 4K, and you can record slow motion in 1080p up to 240 frames per second on all rear cameras, or up to 120 frames per second when using the front camera. Overall, videos are very stable because of the OIS and they look great. Colors are very good and sharpness is great too. Overall, the camera system on the iPhone 11 Pro Max is very good, and it's something I use all the time. In fact, I'm actually using it to record all the clips of me So if you're wondering how the camera quality is, you can actually just take a look at how the clips of me look like. Now let's look at the processor and the speed of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The 11 series introduced the A13 Bionic, which allowed for two high-performance cores to be 20% faster with 30% lower power consumption than the previous A12. And the four high-efficiency cores are now 20% quicker and 40% lower power consumption than the A12. The A12 is already pretty quick, so the A13 is just taking it up a notch. Get it? Notch? Okay, let's move on. Also compared to the A12, the A13 has 8.5 billion transistors, and it featured machine learning accelerators, which allowed it to have over 1 trillion operations per second. Mix this with a 20% faster GPU and 40% lower power consumption, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max flies through anything that you throw at it. There's also 4GB of LPDDR4 RAM on board, so most apps will stay open in the background, but the 6GB in the iPhone 12 Pro series is a serious upgrade, and I wonder how much longer it will help that device continue to get support in the future. Using this phone feels just like a flagship that was released today, so speed is not an issue. Overall, using the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a very speedy experience, and honestly, if you want to run any app at the highest speed, you can. This phone still feels like a flagship phone, even though it's from 2019. Next, let's take a look at the speakers and the microphone on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now, as you've been watching this video, all the clips of me have been recorded on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, so that does give you an example of how the audio quality is. However, there is also stereo audio recording, which I'm not doing right now. This is all mono audio. So I'm going to be putting an example of the stereo recording and what you can expect to hear from separation of sound. So this would work best if you're wearing headphones, so the speakers on the iPhone 11 Pro Max are also quite good. They get reasonably loud and they're very well balanced. Overall, the speakers and mic is a pretty good setup, and I have no complaints there. Okay, so one of the biggest improvements that they made to the iPhone 11 Pro Max was actually its battery life. And the battery life of the iPhone 11 Pro Max is superb. The iPhone 11 Pro Max has a 3,969 nice milliamp hour battery, which correlates to around 12 to 14 hours of battery life on a busy day of use. Like 10 hours of screen time on a busy day. So if battery life is your worry, take a look at the iPhone 11 Pro Max, because it's got terrific battery life. To match the battery life, there's also fast charging here. You can use an 18-watt brick to charge from 0 to 50% in just 35 minutes with the included charger, but you can actually get faster speeds if you use a 20-watt or higher brick. There's also wireless charging, but it's at the slowest speed. Still, it's nice to have. Unfortunately, there isn't any reverse wireless charging, and it does have the Lightning connector instead of USB-C, so that's where I would deduct some points. Unfortunately, there is no other features like reverse wireless charging, and it still does use a Lightning connector instead of USB-C, so I'm going to have to deduct some points there, but overall, battery life is really, really good. There is a couple more things that I do want to talk about of the iPhone 11 Pro Max that are notable features of it. This was the first iPhone to include the ultra-wideband tech, meaning that you can use it in AirDrop to find a specific person, or a more recent addition, you can actually use it to find your AirTags precisely where they are. Also, if you guys want me to review AirTags, let me know in the comments below. There's also improvements to Face ID, being a little bit quicker and at more angles compared to the last generation. I didn't really notice the speed out too much, but the angles definitely helped. It allows me to unlock it more successfully when it's on a flat surface, so when I'm sitting at my desk, it unlocks quicker. There's also support for Wi-Fi 6, allowing for more future-proofing with this device. There's also dual SIM support with an eSIM, allowing 2 numbers on your device. This allows you to switch to certain carriers quickly. Overall, these were pretty notable features, but at the end of the day, they're mostly quality of life things, so I wouldn't rate it as high as like I did with the iPhone 6s, since that brought some really important features such as the newer generation Touch ID and the haptic engine. But overall, I do think that the iPhone 11 Pro Max does have some really interesting features about it, and they do come in handy, I think, especially with the new AirTags. If you're still using an iPhone 11 Pro Max just like I am, I honestly think that you don't have to upgrade to the iPhone 12 series, and maybe not even to the iPhone 13 series when it comes out. It's still a really great phone for 2021, and I can see it lasting for many more years after. Being that this is the last iPhone with rounded corners, if that's something that you prefer over the square design of the newer iPhone 12, that's a trade-off that you're going to have to consider. Do you want the better cameras of the iPhone 12 series, or do you want the older design of the iPhone 11 series? I forget too, every time I'm reviewing a phone now, I'm compiling it into a list with scores that you can take a look down below in the description to find MyTC scoreboard. It has everything from the display, the processor and speed, as well as the cameras, battery, microphones and speakers, and so on. Overall, I think the iPhone 11 Pro Max is still a really great phone in 2021, and if you still use an iPhone 11 Pro Max, let me know in the comments down below. I want to know how many people still use this phone. So that's it for today, guys. Now remember, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like down below and subscribe to see more content just like this. Thanks for watching!